how to collage quirky characters. This is class 4. My name is Joanne and I'm going to be showing you today how to collage Veronica. To make Veronica, we're going to need a few things. The background paper is the one that we used for Tenny Bird, so it looked like this. So Tenny Bird was on this side, and we're going to use this side for Veronica. You'll want to cut your paper down to 4 1/4 by 8 3/8. And there, if you have a white border from your printer, do not cut that off. Just go ahead and leave it. So you're just going to basically cut your 8 1/2 by 11 paper in half, and then measure 8 3/8 inches from the bottom here up to here. You're also going to need a large pair of scissors to do the rough cuts on your collage sheet, a small pair of scissors to do the intricate cuts, a bone folder, a glue stick, a soft cloth so that you can burnish your pieces down. You'll want a white pen. This is a Uniball Signo. You can use paint, a Sharpie paint pen, whatever you have, but you want something white so that you can dot the eyes. A black marker pen. I'm using a Micron, but it's good if you have something that's fairly thin because you're going to do some outlining. And your collage sheets, which the link to the collage sheets are noted in the description box below. So let's go ahead and get started. So I've got my paper that's cut to the proper size, and the first thing we're going to do is the borders. So I'm going to dump my pieces out here and start getting the borders ready to go. And take your bone folder, and you just want to do a slight pull across here so that you get a bend, and that will help your pieces to lay flat. So we'll go ahead and start in the upper left hand corner and start gluing our pieces down. It's best if you have something to glue on. I just use wax paper or parchment paper, something that won't stick. And you want to be sure to apply a generous amount of glue. So go ahead and just put that on there. And I'm going to turn it this way so that I can see on that corner. And you want to go right to the edge and cover up that white piece. And then burnish that down. I'll turn it this way so you can see how we're working here down the edge. Okay, so we've got this piece. So let's get all our border pieces out. Makes it a little easier, sort of like a jigsaw puzzle when you're putting it together. Okay, so this is just a little piece, and it's going to go right there. Even the little pieces, go ahead and just give it a little bend. I'll burnish it all at one time. The next piece that we're talking about is right here. I'm going to overlap it just a little bit, and I'm going to just come right down to that corner. So I see I have a little gap here. I don't have one here, but I do have one here. So I'm going to just put a little piece of something. We'll come back and just put a little piece over that. Okay, so then going across here, there's nothing. We're just going to use the paper border. And so across the top, we've got this piece, and we'll go down here. So it's that one. Again, right on the edge. Okay, and then it's like there's a little white piece, purple piece, and you can see that I've actually just covered up part of that. And it really, just however, the border really doesn't matter. It's just to frame your piece in nicely. You can go, you know, cover up pieces and cut them off if you don't like them. Okay, so we're down there. And then this piece is next. And I'll just make sure that that fits to the corner. Put it in the corner here. Just run it up. Just like that. And I went over just a little bit, and I will end up cutting that off. So going across our next piece will be this one. That takes it all the way across. And then I have another piece right here that's left over, and I think I'm just going to just cut a little piece off from that and just stick it over that one little area. Great. So now our borders are done. So just like we did in our other collage pieces, we're going to build the character. And this time we're going to pre-build some of the things. So looking at the hat here, there's a heart that's right in the center. And so we'll go ahead and get that heart put on. We'll just make it a little faster as we start to put our piece together. So it just goes right in the center. Okay, so we'll leave that, and we'll do the legs. So here are the legs, and you can see there's two sizes of flowers. The bigger flowers on this side and the little ones on that side. So what I'll do is just put a little bit of glue on the bottom of each leg and just put the flower on there. And I sort of lick my finger when I'm trying to pick up these pieces because they're so small. They can be really hard to pick up. So if you just sort of lick your finger and just touch the center of it, it makes it easy to pick it up if you're, you know, if that doesn't gross you out too much. Okay. And then this one, and it doesn't really matter which way you put the flowers. Okay, so we've got our legs ready to go, and the skirt is right under that dress, under the top, so, you know, it goes like that. And you can just sort of estimate, it has about, I'd say about 1/2 inch on there. And so I think what I'll do is just glue this on. So I'll put some glue at the top here. And then you can just sort of estimate where that goes. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so that's starting to come together. So I think we'll go ahead and just put the legs on. And they just go, they sit directly at the bottom right on this line. Again, make sure you have a generous amount of glue. We get that first one on, and it goes almost down to the bottom. You can, if you'd like, you can, kick the legs up, do however you like. This one sits just a little bit higher on, just on top of that red line. And when you're making these on your own, you'll probably do a dry fit, because you're going to be building this and trying different things, auditioning where you want them. And so it'll be a little bit different when you do it for yourself. But okay, so this is going to just sit right on top of those legs, just covering them. And we don't want to glue all the way down here, because we need to put the neck on, and that will just slip right under there. So I think what I'll do is just put a glue just right along the bottom here, just to get that in place. I think I'll give this a little bend again, since I did it earlier, but okay. And that's just going to go right there like that. Just covers up her legs. Burnish that down. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is put the neck on. And the neck goes this way. So it's going to, the point is going to go under her chin. So I'm just going to glue that in. You just lift this up a little bit and just stick it under there. Just go straight up. And now you can just sort of lift up here and put glue there, and lift up here and put glue there, and burnish it down. Okay, time for the face. So that will just sit right like that. And we probably should have put these, they just sit right next to her neck. They're really not behind them, they just sit right next to that. So let's go ahead and put those on. Okay, so you can see how it goes. The really tight, the bigger swirl is on the inside. Just play around with them until you find something that you like. But this part of it goes to the outside. That might help you. Oops. Okay. Oh my goodness, my fingers are sticking to everything. Okay, put this one on. Again, swirls to the outside. I just line them up as best you can, as close to each other, so they're, sort of mirror each other. Okay. Let's get that face on. I'm just going to put that right on there. You can tilt it slightly if you'd like, and burnish it down. Now the eyes just sit straight across, and there's really not a lot of bridge on the nose to line up like we did last time, but I do want you to see the difference in the eyes from when I brought in colored pencil. So you'll see how that enhances them. So just glue those, and they're just going to go straight across. You want to be down about 1/4 of an inch. Just sort of line it up with the face, because again, we don't really have to worry about the bridge of the nose. We're going to actually make a bridge with our colored pencils. Okay, now the hair is from this piece, and what I did was very simple. I just followed one of those black lines and just cut it in half, essentially, just like that. So you've got one piece that's going this way and one piece that's going that way. And I ended up just sort of sculpting her hair a little bit, just like that. So you can take one piece, and I just sort of went from this corner and just kind of rounded it to kind of give her a bob. If you like it straight, go ahead and just leave it that way. And the same thing with this. So I went this way from that corner and just sort of gave her a bob. Like that. So let's try her hat on to make sure, because her hair kind of came out from under her hat. So you see how that's kind of just sort of goes around her face like that. And then I put this little piece, I cut a small piece of this just to have a little something across there. And I think I want to move her hat up a little bit and move her hair like that. So what I want to do is put her hat on first, and I'm not going to glue it all the way down. I'm not going to glue it all the way here so that I can fit her hair. So I'm basically just going to kind of tack it along here, because I know I want it sitting close to the top there. And then I'm going to make it so her hair just sort of sits underneath there, just like that. So you can play with it how you want, whatever works best for you. Okay, let's glue the hair. Let's glue it down. Just lift that hat a little bit and glue that down. Jeez, it's really not this hard, you guys. It's harder when you're doing it on camera. Okay, let's try this piece and glue that down. I'm just going to pick this piece up and play with it till I get it where I like it. And then my narrow piece will go, I think I want a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to cut a little bit off of this one. Yeah, that's perfect. It's about 1/4 of an inch. And just lay that right across there. I bring it kind of down so it covers the hat. Jeez. Okay, there we go. Just like that. Give everything a good burnish. And we've got the basis of Veronica done. Now we'll go in and we'll add some of the detail. So before we get started with doing the coloring, two things I wanted to tell you. One, there was one piece we had left, which was the little coffee piece. So it just goes right over this portion of her dress. There's something else already written there, so just go ahead and glue that in. And the other thing I was going to mention was I had some glue here and here on my piece. And if you just take one of these erasers that's clean, you don't want to have pencil and stuff on it, and just go ahead and go over your piece gently, it will generally take off the glue. So it's not perfect, but it's good. So let's get started with the coloring. I have the Crayola colors here, and I have my Prisma pencils here, which, you know, I love these, and I'll always go for those because you get the best coverage. But on these eyes, as you can see on this eye, there's a lot of detail I've put in, so it's almost like I've done eye makeup on her. And I'm going to do the same on here. So I usually start with the color of the eye, and in this case I made it green. So I'm just pick a green that you like and go ahead and go over her eye. And I will say that these Crayola colors do not go over this very well when you're trying to change the color. So I'm actually going to go use one of my Prismas and to change that color because they're currently brown. The Crayolas work okay if you're not really trying to change a color. And again, just light layers. And then the next thing I would do is work on the outside. So I used kind of a turquoise. And here's the Crayola one, and it's called Aqua Green, and I think I'll use that. And I just go along the outside to just sort of highlight that. And again, any colors that you like, feel free to go ahead and use those, of course. Okay, and I think I will go with kind of a blue, sort of a darker blue. This is called Blue. And just go along here, along the edge, just to really kind of highlight those eyes. And also sometimes kind of a dark purple, like a maroon. That looks really good too, a brownie purple. And then a really bright green. I know the one I use, and this is called Lime Green. And this is where I'm going to put that right here in the center, right on her eyelid. And then I'm going to start bringing it down here to kind of form, I'm trying to incorporate the top with her eyes with the bottom of her face, just so it sort of all sort of blends together. So just short little strokes and come down to that nose area. And then I'm also going to, there's just a faint area of a nose here, and I'm just going to sort of highlight that. And that just helps the nose to stand out, incorporate everything together. And then I'm going to find a brown, and this one's called Brown. Crayola was very creative with their colors. And I'm just going to use that just a little bit. So it's really just a very light touch. And while the brown's out, I think I'm going to just sort of highlight the crease of her eyes here. Okay. All right. And let me see. I think I'll just bring in a little bit more here. And then on her cheeks, I just like to use a pink to just kind of bring it up into the eye area here, just again to incorporate it. Very light strokes, just bringing that up just a little bit. And then I'll usually highlight her mouth and and make that just a little bit darker. And then on the Crayola, let's try the white. I just put a little bit of white right there where there is white. And then on her eyes, you can also go right in there and really brighten those up. So you don't have to necessarily use the white pen for that. Now I'm going to switch here to my black. I'm going to use my Micron. Anything with a fine point will work okay. And now you're going to outline her eyes. Just like this. It's a little scary. And again, I'm going to outline this. And then just partly the other part. Okay, so that kind of just makes it nice and bold. And then I'm going to darken in her pupil. You're going to get rid of that white, which is why you have to redo it. So you really want to darken it so they stand out. And I didn't do too good of a job here. I can't really get down here and see too well. Okay. And then you're going to take your white, and if you're going to use paint, you can stick it on the end. Just touch your paint with a pencil right into there and dot it if you don't have a white pen. So you want to just drop it on there and make sure it's a circle. And because I'm left-handed, I always end up smearing, so I'm going to turn it around here. So you do it just like that. Okay? And I might continue to play with her eyes a little bit, put a little more makeup on there. And the last thing I'm going to do is come back in with my Micron and give her some eyelashes. Now I didn't make hers real long, I just sort of followed the pattern, but I made them thick. So there's just short little strokes going up. You do it on both sides. And those kind of just really set off her eyes. And then on the bottom here, I put, and I'll let you see, there's some little dots along her eyes. So I'm just going to put some little dots along there on both sides. And then I also put dots around her little wings. So they're just little bitty dots. Again, I'll lift that up for you so you can see those little dots. So I'm just going to recreate those all around her wings. It's just a matter of just being a little bit patient and just going around that. And I think that's about all that I did. I did a little bit of scribbling right along here because there was already some scribbling. So just do a little bit of that. And the heart here I also highlighted just a little bit. So get one of the pinks that you like and just sort of color those in. If you want a little bit of red, you can add that, up in here. So just sort of play with that. And I think that's about it. She's done. And if you want to add anything to the background, that is one of the things that I did. You can use anything that you might have. I have some sequin waste. I have a stencil. And then I just end up using Distress Stain. So whatever color you might have. Here I used, I think it was a blue. But let's use the Dry Marigold. And I use cosmetic wedges. There are some that I use all the time, and I have the little pad thing from Tim Holtz. But for colors I don't use frequently, I just go ahead and use these little cosmetic wedges. And you just dab them on your Distress ink, and then go ahead and go through your sequin waste or stencil. So I just put a little bit in like that in the background, just kind of wherever you think you might want it. And it just adds some nice detail to the background. If you're, if you're going to write or do anything in there, you can also do that. And so I think that's pretty much done. I don't think I'd do too much else to her. If I did anything, I might play with her eyes a little bit more. But for our purposes, I think we can call her done. Okay, so I do want to show you, so when I got the collage sheets, Veronica was the first one that I made. And when I was looking through the collage sheets, trying to decide what I wanted to do for my 4 projects, one of the first things, well, I told you that these legs struck me, or these tentacles struck me, and I knew I wanted to use those as legs. But what I really saw the first time were the legs that we used on her, but these are supposed to be wings. But when I saw them, I thought those would make such cute legs because they were kind of fat at the top and came down to a point. And I thought they would look really good. And so I knew I wanted to use those. And then it became a matter of what would I do for the dress. I thought about using this, but I didn't want the dot on the dot. So I continued to look through until I found something that I thought would look good. And the reason that I ended up picking the one that I did was the arms were incorporated, or the hands were incorporated in there. I don't have it in here. The hands were incorporated right into that, so it made it easy. But because that was pretty short, and so I felt like I needed something to go under that. And so the brown set that off very nicely against the legs. So the next thing became trying to find a face that I liked and eyes that I liked, and that's how I got to there. And then it was, flat because there was no head above that, so I knew I needed some kind of a hat, and I looked through and found, this piece that I thought, that I thought I could use easily as a hat. And so that's really how this all happens, is there's that piece. You start looking for things that you can use, like if you say I want a hat. What can I use as a hat? Of course you could put something like that on there. You could make this a hat. You could even make this a hat, depending on how much space you have. This, in fact, is the one that I ended up using. So it's really a matter of just looking at things a little bit differently and figuring out how you can incorporate them into your collage piece. In some cases, you don't even have to use the whole piece. You could use, if you wanted a dark hat, you could cut it off here or keep that word inspired, and you want something tall, cut it off there. This is where I find when you cut all your pieces up, that makes it much easier to mix and match and audition different things. So I would encourage you, if you get, if you print another set of these, cut them all up in your spare time. And then just put the legs and the arms in one, the faces in one. But these miscellaneous pieces that aren't really, they're just, you could use them for anything, just put those in a bag. And then when you just play. So you lay down on your table and you start assembling and you just play. And you pick and choose from your bags. And that makes it really simple. This was a piece that I tried using for wings. So I ended up cutting out 2 of these like this. This was gone, but I tried 2 of these. It wasn't big enough, I didn't like it, so that didn't work out. But, you could use it for something else. I think that's pretty much, this one I tried. I'm still going to use this for something. I think it would be a great body. I just couldn't make it work exactly for what I was trying to do. But there's so many interesting pieces in these collage sheets. You could just have a ball. So now your collage sheets look pretty holy, but you still have a lot of good images left. So what we're going to do for the next time is go through magazines, and we're going to start looking at possible bodies that we could use, hats, maybe even heads, but to try and take what we find in the magazines and incorporate them with whatever pieces we have left here. So that's what we'll do for the next one. You don't have any homework you have to do. Just come back and watch the video on ripping up the magazines. And I will see you right back here. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.